Good. Good. Welcome. Hello. Hello, Works. I was pondering, if you were to meet someone else in these caves, what would you say to them? Not like the person you had just met for the first time. You couldn't say things like, good morning, or good afternoon, because we don't know what time of day it is. The Shade has mentioned it a few times. How long is a day, really? Because even though we have a timer that's counting days, that's just for us. You know, the moment we started our longing was just some strange time that the king decided, this is the moment I create the Shade. So that's the time since we've come in existence. It's not what time it is now. So if you were to meet somebody, you couldn't say good morning or good day. Granite, not getting much further here. What a disappointment. Maybe that's what we could say. We meet somebody and be like, Granite. It sounds like a negative thing to say, though. But we have no frame of reference to what time of the day it actually is. Yesterday. How long is yesterday? We ate a green mushroom. And it was interesting because the Shade said, wonder if they're as delicious as the others. So we can suppose the Shade has eaten these before. It's probably just assuming the player had eaten them, because you have the option to. Why not? You'll probably see the option to eat it before you can grow one. But we skipped it, so it just sounds funny for the Shade to comment about that when we've yet to even eat a purple mushroom. I think we'll go remedy that right now. I'm also going to go take a look upstairs to see how our mushroom is growing. You can see there, this is one of the little mushrooms we've plucked. It's already starting to grow back. Nope, don't want to grow it. We're probably glowing on the inside now. Ooh, a piece of coal. Well, he didn't comment on the taste, but it wasn't disgusting like the green one was. If you were to go back, you'll see his face turn green slightly, and it makes a bit of a puking sound. Oh, you were supposed to walk upwards there. I think after we've investigated our mushroom, we're gonna go back down as we had intended yesterday. We're gonna dig some coal. That's because once we've answered that third question with the face, we're going to unlock 3 more questions that we can ask it. And it's going to have steeper requirements than the first 3. One of those requirements is going to be 100 coal. Currently we have 44, I believe. We could just pick up the coal we see along the way. But if you consider we've spent already 50 coal and we have 44. In total, we've only gathered 94 coal. So it would take about a week, perhaps. No, another 3 or 4 days of wandering around before we reached enough coal. This looks good. Our mushroom looks to be in a great spot. I don't think he says how long it will take to grow. But there are a few other things we can do, so we'll come back here in a couple of days. Oh. This mushroom is starting to look weird. I better not touch it. So, this was the green one we had planted. That's unfortunate. That was the purple one we had planted. So, what we needed to do, and what we'll do now, is we'll plant another purple one. I guess, yeah, we're growing it then. I was just going to eat it, but it's fine. We want those gross mushrooms. Now, I just hope I have enough space to plant another green one near that one. If you plant just one mushroom, it's just going to grow more of the same, which is nice. If you plant a green and a purple one near each other, apparently it's the purple one that becomes mutated, becomes a gross mushroom, as the shade just commented. And if you piece that together with that room that we had spent the night in, up at the top, you can see there was a group of purple mushrooms and green ones. But at the top, there were some very large mushrooms. And we're trying to reach this cliff edge, but it's too high for us to reach. So our goal is to grow a large mushroom right nearest to the edge. If it's too far, well, then it's too far. Even though this was a dead end, it's a nice little corner because it's a quick place for us to grab a green mushroom. And if you like the mushrooms, you can pick every one of them, plant them in other spots. You can grow many big mushrooms, as many as you want. You can sort of decorate up here. Even though it's not our home, it's still pretty cool. The smaller variety of mushroom, the individual ones, they grow rather quickly. It's been about 24 hours and we were already able to harvest. The gross mushroom that's growing there, that one's going to take longer. And it doesn't look like I have any room to plant this guy. Looks like this is the closest we can put it. I don't think that's gonna work. So we may have to wait for this weird looking mushroom to finish growing. You would think, after having played the game at least 5 times, that I would know the order of doing the mushrooms. Nope, it just never stuck in my mind. I could have looked it up. That probably would have been the smart thing to do, because that's going to delay us a little bit. Not a big deal. I'm not trying to speedrun or go through everything quickly. I honestly enjoy the game. My best friend, she also still plays the game. She'll turn it on and just leave it in the background, just to hang out with the shade. For her, she learned a lot from this game. This game is dark. Granted, we're carrying a light source, but it's dark in other ways, which we'll learn more about in the next couple of days. But having overcome those things as a person, what she's gained from it, this is her dear friend, the Shade, and she's learned something from him. So it's nice to just hang out with your Shade friend. The music and everything, it's in some ways sort of a nostalgia. It's just a nice place to be. Let's grow a few extra mushrooms. For no reason in particular, other than we can. Oh, this one's not glowing. Let's eat this one and grab the other. Oh. strange and beautiful dream. I was just kidding about the mushroom. I'm eating them on purpose because I wanted to introduce that. The fact that we can have a vision, and in our vision we saw an old guy with a long nose similar to ours, and we saw this tiny troll girl. She actually has a tail, if you look carefully there. Let's climb down. With the additional weight of the mushroom, I won't be able to climb the web without breaking it, and I don't want to be rude to my spidery friend. Thank you, Spider Bro. He's got tiny little glowing eyes as well. So there were a couple of art pieces that our shade can draw. One is, I believe it's called Savior, and the other one called Tragedy. If you recall the faces from our little vision, the first drawing, Savior, was similar to that of the long-nosed old man. The one labeled Tragedy had sort of a twisted clown-looking face. But if you skew it in your mind a bit, it quite resembles that of the little troll. And then if you recall some of the things the wall had said to us, saying that the old and blind would be the way. And if you were to trust in the young, it would be quite foolish of us. It's kind of strange, though. They are just a vision, though, right? I mean, it doesn't mean anything to us currently. But that's kind of how things go in this game. You have to piece the clues together for yourself. Did I set a bookmark for the mines? I did not. Do we go straight to the mines and hang out there? Or do we run down to see if any moss has grown? We have, I believe, 16 moss. If we got just 4 more, we can go visit the face. I don't think it's too far away. do this. We get the moss. We'll take another trip over to the wall, and we can read again what it had to say about the old and the young. And while there, of course, we can ask of it the last question. So I mean to make a correction. I did read online. I was speculating about the 5 colors of chalk, and if in some ways there were 5 endings, and if there was one for each color. And I had read somewhere that there was 4 endings. And it's true. At one point in time, the game only had 4 endings. However, there were some updates, and a 5th ending was added to the game. There have actually been quite a few mods added to the game, allowing players to access a library to mod their game and put whatever books, publicly available books, into the longing, so you can hang out with your shade and read even more books. But with one of the updates, another ending was added, and I believe when the Switch made its port, all 5 of those endings were in there. Well, they were when I first started to play the game. So there are 5 endings. Do they then color coordinate with the chalk? I do recall seeing white, red, and possibly black. Yellow and blue? Ah, it looks like some moss has grown. Can we harvest? Perfect. Soft, like thoughts of solitude. I never imagined thoughts of solitude being soft. We're going to need more than 20. We want to be able to craft a bed eventually, and we're going to need another 20 for that. The Steam page for this game, it's quite nice. There are some guides for things to do and how to play the game and how to unlock pretty much everything. But it's a friendly guide. It's filled with a lot of spoiler tags and multiple spoilers, going from just surface level hints of where something might be found to giving you full directions on how to reach a place, if there's a time mechanic involved. I read that the developer also considered, while making the game, to hide things, because the developer was aware that people do things like data mining, where they'll look at the guts of the game, look at the assets there, and they would know everything that the game had to offer. Such as if you play an MMO, a big patch comes out. If you were to take apart that patch, you'd be able to see the new items that have been released, what those items do, and then you can start to decipher how you would find those items and acquire them. So the developer was aware that this kind of culture exists, and he had considered several different ways of kind of obfuscating that information. I do believe he implemented additional items using shaders and such that don't actually exist in the game. There's something valuable about that knowledge. It's like a secret. And to me, I like games like this where when you unlock those secrets, when you put those pieces together and when you discover something there that maybe you had speculated about, and then you solve it. It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. And just to read about it online instead, it takes away the whole purpose, the whole essence of what that game is about in some way. Some people enjoy that discovery, some people don't. But I like that idea, what the developer did, to hide the items that do exist in the game. And in that way, it's all discovery. You might be you're giving yourself additional information that is not relevant if you were to data mine the game. I had actually considered it, only because I've already played through the game multiple times. And that's just because I had wondered if there was something I had yet to discover. I don't think this is the way. Oh, this is the way. The face is kind, because we had already paid its offering for certain bits of information. We don't have to pay for them again. Hello, face. How are you? I am well, thank you. How are you? This answers my question. What do you say to somebody when you meet them? You don't say good morning, just hi, how are you? So the question was, what lies beyond this cave? There is light. Light is beautiful and dangerous. Light is without understanding. Don't trust the childish eyes of the young. They will fear you. If you recall from the dream, there was a small bug, perhaps like a spider, that jumped on the child, and it panicked. It freaked out. Ah! And then it was, the old man turned to look what was going on. And it, said something, pointed over to where the bug had gone. They will fear you. Only trust the old and blind. We're not afraid of that which emerges from darkness. It's an interesting answer to what lies beyond this cave. What will happen after the 400 days? I will grant you my wisdom, but I demand an offering in return. As long as there is time, there will always be longing. And once all longing has ended, the world will no longer need time. And those without longing will no longer need the world. This one, it's in connection to the poem that we had read a few days back. The one that talks about the king who lives deep, deep under the earth, and he has a dwarf. And that when the king awakens, he will end all fear and longing. There's something to do about an Armageddon there and all that. I have some more questions. Can you tell me a secret? What will happen if I leave the cave? Is there a way to manipulate time? I'll grant you my wisdom, but I demand an offering in return. 7 disappointments. I currently have 6. I know where at least one more disappointment is. I believe there's more beyond that. Once I have them, I want to hold on to my disappointments. I don't want to spend them. Not yet. So we'll return to this one later. What will happen if I leave the cave? I will grant you my wisdom, but I demand an offering in return. 100 coal. This is what we're going to go work on now. Can you tell me a secret? I demand an offering in return. 3 golden coins. Gold coins, huh? Well, we did learn about coins. We did see a whole treasure hoard full of coins. Oh, it's a tough one. Now let's go do our coal. We'll come back. We'll pick that up at another time. I didn't even say the location for the coal. I thought about it. A secret, huh? Wonder what his secret is. Just as another ending was added, so too were those questions. At some point, the developer added those extra 3. That they weren't a part of the original game, or the original release, I should say. So, the treasure room, the gold coins. We can break in. We do have a matic. We didn't do so before because we didn't have a reason to collect coins. But now we have a reason. So, I did share a couple days ago when we walked through the halls of eternity how I have a character who's just continually still walking through there. And there's a really big thread on the Steam page that talks about some people having spent over 400 hours and such. And I have a save game that's been running for a couple of years, at least. Still walking through there. I read about there are some people who had wondered, with that treasure room, you can get gold out of it. And they had wondered perhaps there are other items there in the back of that treasure room. Items that look kind of interesting. A harp, a sword, a golden cup, perhaps. People had perhaps wondered I keep gathering the gold coins or such that fall out of this treasure room, could we access something else, something interesting? Is there perhaps some sort of Easter egg there? Someone had spent a good bit of time and they had collected over, was it, I think, 100,000 gold coins. Yeah, there's nothing there. I'm pretty sure that the endless corridor, yeah, there's probably nothing there as well. I wonder though, is there some sort of computational limit? You can imagine with those gold coins, the first limit would be somewhere above 68,000. It's just a natural number that a lot of video games used as an upper limit. Beyond that, the next upper limit is quite far. But if you had gathered enough to reach that upper limit, what would happen? I would imagine they were going for that 68,000, and after having reached it, what's 10,000? Why not? It's a nice round number. Let's just keep going. Perhaps to see if 99999 was the next limit. It wasn't. But it's fun. At this point, we kind of switch from exploring the caves to visiting places for their use. You know, we're now coming here, we now know where this exists, and we have a reason to come here. We know where the moss is. We kind of have an idea of how often the moss grows. And we now have a reason to go there, to visit there again, to revisit the places we know. This bit of a world is in some ways like a workshop for us. There are still a few other places we've yet to travel to, but we're working on them, and we're using bits of the workshop to allow us to get there. One, we were waiting for some moss to grow, which will be finished in a couple of days. The second is those mushrooms we're waiting to grow, and we had to gather some ingredients to put that together. There's also that pit with water, and we're just letting the little tiny droplet do its job. Yeah, it's unfortunate that mining the coal is a very long process. Would be nice if perhaps we had a book to read, but the shade keeps all those at home. And if we're doing the mining, well, who would be reading the book? But these are the fun moments of the game where we're just hanging out with the shade and the shade is doing his thing and we can do our own thing. What I'll do is just gather a lump of 2 coal, because each one is worth, I believe it was 5 pieces of coal. And then at the end of the stream, we're going to set the shade to return home. And that way, when we come back tomorrow, the shade will be at his home. And a lot of time will have passed. Hopefully enough time that the little moss that we need to grow will be finished. And then we can travel in that direction. And then, at the same time, the mushrooms. They will have finished. We'll be able to then plant the one we need planted. But while at home, we'll be able to revisit some of the images, the drawings, and we can talk about that more. Halfway. Yeah. I think just walking around and being mindful and picking up coal seems to be a bit faster. The shade doesn't mind. He still has hundreds of days to go. So if this were to take 20 minutes for a single piece of coal, he's fine with that. Wonder, this cave, on the other side of it, there isn't any place to gather coal. Just here on this side. Considering how long it takes just to get a small bit of it, how long it has taken to make this space as large as it is. But also, who were the people or person who did this? I mean, obviously there were other people here, person here. How many were there? Because as I'm saying about the shape of this place, it looks like there's only room for one. And the room for the sulfur, it doesn't seem to have been dug as much. I wonder, did the king have perhaps another shade before us? It is kind of interesting, the vision that we had, that old blind man. His nose did resemble ours. Five lumps worth. I'm only talking pure speculation, however. There isn't anything, not really, that would create any connection to that person who lives above to our shade. There are pictures, though, some interesting pictures that the shade can draw. I think this will be the first thing we do in our next stream tomorrow, is we'll revisit some of the pictures that we can draw. And now that we have paper, we'll go ahead and draw some of them. But we can look again at those faces. That one will instead take us back to our room. I think the Shade knows his own way home, so we'll leave him to it. And when we return, he'll be back at his house. So, if they don't say good evening, or now that's something you would say as a greeting, how do they say goodbye? Or see you later? You couldn't say see you tomorrow because they don't even know when today is or when tomorrow happens. Is tomorrow something that happens soon or long? What would they say?